Have you ever watched a chess grandmaster play and just wondered, how do they do that? They make moves that seem to come from another dimension, calculating impossibly complex lines in just a few seconds. It feels like they're playing a completely different game. Are they just smarter than the rest of us? Do they have some kind of superpower? Well, the truth is both simpler and far more fascinating. It's not about raw intelligence, it's about how their brains have been rewired to see the chessboard. Today, we read diving deep into the mind of a grandmaster to uncover how they truly perceive the game of chess. Let's start with the absolute cornerstone of a grandmaster's ability: pattern recognition. When an amateur looks at a chessboard, they see 32 individual pieces on 64 squares. It's a jumble of unconnected pawns, knights, and bishops. But when a grandmaster looks at the exact same position, they don't see individual pieces. They see patterns. They see familiar structures, weaknesses, and potential attacks almost instantly. Think of it like reading. When you first learned to read, you had to sound out each letter, see a T. It was slow and difficult. But now, you don't see the letters. You see the word cat as a single unit, and you instantly know what it means. Grandmasters do the same thing with chess positions. They have a massive mental library of thousands upon thousands of these chess words or patterns built up over years of intense study and play. A classic example is a fianchettoed bishop structure, where a bishop is developed on the long diagonal. To a beginner, it's just a bishop on g2 or b7. To a master, that single pattern immediately brings to mind a whole network of associated ideas. Potential weaknesses on the king side, the power of the long diagonal, common attacking plans, and typical defensive resources. They see the pattern and instantly access a wealth of strategic knowledge connected to it. This is why a grandmaster can play a blitz game with only seconds per move. At a level that most of us could never reach even with unlimited time, they aren't calculating every single possibility from scratch. They are recognizing familiar situations and retrieving the best plans from their mental database. This leads us to a concept from cognitive psychology called chunking. This is the secret sauce behind their incredible memory. You've probably heard the stories of grandmasters playing dozens of games simultaneously while blindfolded. It sounds impossible, right? How can anyone remember the exact position of so many pieces across so many boards? The answer is chunking, because they see the board in patterns or chunks of information. They don't have to remember 32 individual piece locations. Instead, they might only need to remember 5 or 6 chunks that define the entire position. For example, King's Indian attack setup doubled c-pawns, knight on f5 outpost, and weak back rank. That's it, for chunks of information that paint a complete picture of the board for them. A famous study in the 1970s by Chase and Simon beautifully demonstrated this. They showed a mid-game chess position to both grandmasters and beginners for just 5 seconds and then asked them to recreate it. The grandmasters were able to recreate the board with near-perfect accuracy. The beginners, as you'd expect, struggled immensely. But here's the brilliant twist. The researchers then showed them another board, but this time the pieces were placed completely randomly, in positions that could never occur in a real game. Suddenly, the grandmaster's advantage vanished. They were no better than the beginners at remembering the random positions. This proves it's not a generic photographic memory. Their memory is highly specialized for meaningful chess patterns. They remember the chunks, not the individual pieces. When the chunks are gone, so is their superpower. So if it's all about patterns and chunks, where does calculation fit in? We see top players staring intently at the board, seemingly lost in thought. They're definitely calculating, but it's not what you think. Amateurs tend to calculate very broadly, but not very deeply. We might look at 3 different moves, and for each move, we look at our opponent's possible replies, and then our next move. But we quickly get lost in a sea of possibilities. It's overwhelming. Grandmasters, on the other hand, calculate with incredible efficiency and depth. Their pattern recognition acts as a powerful filter. Out of all the possible moves in a position, their intuition, honed by recognizing thousands of patterns, immediately tells them that only 2 or 3 moves are even worth considering. All the other moves are just noise that they don't waste any mental energy on. This is why their calculation looks so effortless. They're not brute forcing the position like a computer. They are guided by a deep, intuitive understanding of what matters. They've identified the critical moves, Then they dedicate all their computational power to analyzing those specific lines, sometimes 10 or 15 moves deep, with stunning accuracy. They visualize the board in their mind, moving the pieces, evaluating the resulting positions, and following the most promising paths. It's a focused, surgical process, not a chaotic mess of what-if scenarios. They are pruning the tree of possibilities before they even start climbing it. This intuitive filtering is what separates them from even very strong club players. So, how do they build this incredible mental machinery? The answer is deliberate practice. Grandmasters don't just play chess. Every aspect of their training is designed to expand their pattern library and sharpen their calculation skills. They spend countless hours analyzing their own games and the games of other masters, trying to understand the reasoning behind every move. They meticulously study opening theory to learn the key patterns and plans for different setups. They solve thousands upon thousands of tactical puzzles. This isn't just for fun. Each puzzle they solve reinforces a tactical pattern, a pin, a fork, a discovered attack, burning it into their long-term memory. When a similar pattern appears in a real game, they will spot it in a heartbeat. Another crucial training method is what's known as solitaire chess. A grandmaster will take a game played by two other strong players, cover up the moves, and try to guess what move was played at each turn. Then they compare their choice to what the master actually played. This process forces them to evaluate the position deeply, to think like a top player, and to absorb the strategic and tactical ideas from the game. It's an active learning process, not a passive one. They are constantly testing and refining their understanding, updating their mental database of patterns and plans. It is this relentless, focused effort over decades that forges a grandmaster's mind. Now the big question, what can we, as amateur players, learn from all this? How can we start to see the board a little more like a grandmaster? The good news is, you can absolutely train your brain to think in patterns. First, stop just playing endless blitz games online without thinking. It might be fun, but it often reinforces bad habits. Instead, start playing longer games, like 15 minutes with a 10-second increment. This gives you time to think, to try and identify patterns, and to calculate a little deeper. After every single game you play, win or lose, take the time to analyze it. Use a computer engine not just to see what the best move was, but to understand why it was the best move. What was the underlying idea? What pattern did you miss? Second, make tactical puzzles your best friend. Dedicate 15 to 20 minutes every single day to solving puzzles. Websites like Lickus and Chess.com have fantastic puzzle trainers. The goal isn't just to get the puzzle right, but to see the pattern so quickly that it becomes second nature. Over time, you'll start to spot these same tactical motifs in your own games. Third, start studying annotated master games. Don't just look at the moves. Read the explanations. Understand the plans, the strategies, the positional nuances. This is how you begin to build your own library of chess chunks. Finally, focus on one or two openings and learn them well. Don't try to memorize a million different lines. Instead, understand the key structures, pawn breaks, and typical plans associated with your chosen openings. This gives you a solid foundation of patterns to rely on from the very first move. The journey to seeing the board like a grandmaster is a long one, but it's not a magical one. It's a path of dedicated study, pattern building, and a love for the infinite beauty of the game. It's about transforming the way you see, moving from a view of individual pieces to a rich tapestry of interconnected patterns and ideas. And every puzzle you solve, every game you analyze, is one more step on that incredible journey. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this look into the mind of a chess master interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of chess. Let me know in the comments what aspect of a grandmaster's play fascinates you the most. See you in the next video.